in my room, and I was just like staring at the wall, thinking about it, sitting down, thinking about nothing. And then my mom came in, and I didn't even know she was there. She called my name, and I didn't hear her, and she started screaming, "Mike, Mike!" And I go, "What? What's the matter?" She goes, "What's the matter with you?" I go, "What's the matter, Mom? She goes, "Don't tell me that. You're not drugged." I go, "No, Mom, I'm not drugged. I'm okay. I'm just thinking, you know. Why don't you give me a test?" She goes, "No, you're on drugs." I go, "Mom, I'm okay. I'm just thinking." She goes, "No, you're not thinking. You're on drugs. Normal people don't act that way." I go, "Mom, just give me a Pepsi, please. All I want is a Pepsi." And she wouldn't give it to me. All I wanted was a Pepsi. Just one Pepsi. And she wouldn't give it to me. Just a Pepsi. She was good with the things. I was like, "I'm thinking, I'm guessing, that's right. She was good at that, right?" Oh, God, pregnant! Spirit, Mr. Dog! The other one is pregnant! Spirit, Mr. Dog! You're talking to me! Pregnant! Spirit, Mr. Dog! I'm just doing it! Don't get that money! Only not 15 years, but that's not the second money yet in myself! I'm sitting in my room. My mom and my dad came in. They pulled the chair and they sat down. They go, "Mike, we need to talk to you." And I go, "Okay, what's the matter?" They go, "Me and your mom, we noticed lately you're having a lot of problems. And you're going off for no reason. And we're afraid you're going to hurt somebody. And we're afraid you're going to hurt yourself. So we decided that it would be in your best interest if we put you somewhere where you can get the help that you need." And I go, "Wait, what are you talking about? We decided my best interest? How do you know it? My
So, guys, welcome back. It's good to see all of you here. These Bibles are not fucking light. Could be a problem. Well, finally, welcome to the Lupercalia edition of TSTVHQ. And I will be teaching you guys how to make some really cool beet dishes today. As you can see, it says, I'd rather drink alone. Still bipolar. That's what my bottle of water says. I mean, it's fitting. I live alone with Jack. Jack, come here. I don't know what he's doing. So, guys, you want a treat? You want to show them? Yep. Good boy. Jack, come over here. Say hi to them. Say to the camera. Good boy. We can get a Jack cam going on, too. Hey, Jack. You're on camera. You not like it? Good boy. So, guys, Lupercalia was this crazy festival that happened around 44 BC. It was a celebration of, is pretty much like what you picture Caligula would be. Tons of people fucking in the streets, blood, milk, wolves. They're wearing wolf skin. Okay, they're eating some kind of meat. They're masturbating while eating the meat. It's fucking amazing. That's exactly what Lupercalia was. And, you know, around 44 BC, what else was there to do except throw lambskins on and fuck everything? Because that's all you did back then. Good boy. So, in honor of Valentine's Day, we are going to be making some cool beet dishes tonight. So I have here in front of me, I'm going to move my Jack cam over. I have some beets. Now, these happen to be from Cal Organic. This is where you can get in any store, pretty much. Probably at Ralph's, or anywhere in the United States. And so these are red beets. And they're like one of my favorite vegetables to play around with for many reasons. And typically, they come in three different types. So you have your red beets, you have your candy stripe beets, and then you have your yellow beets, which are really awesome. Are you guys having issues with my audio? Cool, so let's get back to it. All right, so typically, they come in three different kinds: yellow beets, candy striped beets, red beets. Now, um, there's 25 different heirloom varieties of beets out there, which is crazy. I mean, to think that there's that many beets, but this is the beets that we usually get at the grocery store: red beets, yellow beets, candy striped beets. So it's a superfood, believe it or not. It's high in nutrients, it's high in calcium, it's high in protein, it's high in vitamins. So it's also really sought after in things like smoothies, for instance, because it's got all these great properties. You can live off of beets and you would not die during a zombie apocalypse. They are technically Soylent Green, but they're red. But they're not made from people. So they're about 88% water, which is definitely why they're easy to blend up and why I put them in things like a puree, which then I put into uh, my hummus. So that's what I usually do. But today we're going to do something a lot different. So we're going to take the beets and we're going to make a salad out of it. We're not going to be doing what they probably did back when Lupercalia was happening. Uh, Basically, beets were they were domesticated in the Middle East by the Egyptians, uh, the Greek, and the Romans that were living down there. So back in the day, you would use beet color to tan things, meaning you would get the color on, change the color of things. Like you wanted a red shirt, if you had beets, you would, dip it in some beet juice. So if you wanted to, get that Lupercalia like soup going, where you had like the loin, cloth with like that was dipped in red, or like wolf like thing happening with a giant like, dong hanging out, that is, you would probably need to grow some beets, and that is the truth. So beets, they are a root vegetable, and everything about them is technically the same color. Exact. Well, yeah. So that is technically what they would do, Jack. Yeah. So they would take the beets and they would make red food coloring out of it, and it's actually today a natural food coloring. That's where they get like this red food dye, uh, like that goes into things that you would make a meringue with, or whatever. Even fake blood, for instance. So before we cut this, let's do a little Bible fire, since we have to every time. It's pretty cool, actually, that that's how it was. This is where they would originate dyeing beets. So there's a couple ways that you can cook beets. Technically, you just want to take the stems off. And you can save the leaves, but the leaves are usually really filthy. So I would suggest peeling the beet leaves and then washing them in some water and then drying them out like you would any kind of green. And you could put them into a salad, but they're better sauteed. They just have the same kind of consistency of like a Tuscan kale. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be using those, so I'm going to put this in the compost bin for now. And one of the ways that I like to cook beets is by taking a bowl and you put them in said bowl. And you take some oil. Until I get a little aggressive and crush this. So I'm going to take some oil and just put it right in there. And I'll add a little bit of this chili flake and some salt. Mix it together. Usually I'll just put them on something like a roasting rack. And I'll keep the stems on the root part. The stems are going to be cut off, but the root is going to be still on. And there's a reason for that, because when I cook this, I want to be able to keep them whole. It keeps them uniform. It means it keeps them in the same shape as they were when you cut them. So, and then I would put them in an oven that was at 375 for about an hour. After I got them in there, I'd take them out, and they would be, wow, look at that. They're completely done. I'll just move my water out of the way. Black magic. Exactly. So we've got our beets here. And beets are definitely a Valentine's Day staple. That's why I'm doing this, because you can take the red coloring out and you can fold it into things things like ricotta. For instance, today we're going to be making a almond, sliced almond sherry vinaigrette, whipped ricotta, beet and arugula salad. And this is going to be the base for that. So I've got them cooked, and I would just simply take them off, peel them like that. Super simple. The skins come right off. Keep them in there for about an hour. Keep checking them. And what is also interesting to know is that if you cook them and you peel them shortly afterwards, it's easier to peel them because they're still hot. So if you're going to cook something like a duck confit, you would want to make sure your duck is heated up so you could pick it. And it's the same thing with beets. You should always wear gloves when you do this so your hands don't turn red. But it's Valentine's Day, so who cares? It's also Lupercalia, so you can throw this on your ding dong if you want to and walk around, because that's what we do. And we should do that. Now that I've got them completely peeled, I'm going to put them over there. And there's another way that you can cook beets, which is actually a lot easier. And if you're going to be working in a restaurant or you have like some last minute things that you need to do, you're just getting home, I suggest doing this. Taking your beet, your rat tail as I call it, still on, cutting that right off, and then cutting that part off too. So you're left with just this. And then, put it into a pot, bring it up. It's not even plugged in. Can you believe that? And after it came up, we'll plug it in just for a minute. So you want to just make sure that your water comes up to a simmer and keep an eye on it. So what happens is you're cooking something cold and hot and cold water. And when the water starts to get warm, it's going to start to break it down, much like you would cook a potato. You would never cook potatoes in boiling water. And the same thing with beets, because it's a root vegetable, or turnips, for instance. So, already starting to get there. Turn it off. It's already smoke coiling out. And look at that. That beet is already cooked. Isn't that incredible, guys? It's just like black magic. Blows my mind completely. So this is a really good hack to learn, because you can just take the skin right off, but it doesn't have that roasty flavor. And what you can do with this is that you can turn it into a puree easier. And even if you're not on a raw foods diet, cook a bunch of beets just like that the night before if you want to make some beet juice. It's not going to save the water that it comes in as well. Just puree it all. You want to make sure that your beets are completely scrubbed down, because they carry a lot of dirt and grime. That's the problem. Right on, Mary. See, she knows. Mary's French. So I like to let my beets cool down before I start to cook with them, because the flavor, when you mix it into a bowl with something, tastes a lot different. We're going to take this and move it over here. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make a vinaigrette without fucking it up, which is a really important thing to know because a lot of people, when they make vinaigrettes, they do this thing where they have uh, the oil blasting in there and it just breaks your sauce. So breaking means technically you have oil, you have vinegar. When you mix oil and vinegar together incorrectly, it's going to taste like oil. So if you go to like an Italian restaurant where they would do the thing where they would put like a dish on the table and there'd be like balsamic vinegar and olive oil, it would be a broken sauce. A good example of a broken sauce would be something like a bagna cotta, which is butter. It's like it's like a broken hollandaise sauce, technically. Uh, Egg yolks, butter, vinegar, or lemon juice, just kind of like broken. But the more you mix it, the more you can taste that flavor. A vinaigrette is traditionally binded with things that help it from breaking. And one of the things that it's usually binded with is Dijon mustard. So I have my grocery store Dijon mustard, which happens to live in my fridge. And another thing is usually garlic that helps bind it. Today we're not going to be using raw garlic. We're going to be using my favorite garlic confit. And I've taught people this every single time. So what you would do if you're going to make garlic confit is you would take raw garlic, you would bring it up in a pot with some oil, vegetable oil, olive oil, usually like a half and half. I use both just so it kind of like loosens it up a little bit. And you have garlic oil. You also have garlic that's mashable and cooked all the way through. Mercy, I forgot to get bananas. I'm crazy, but that's a different story. So right here we have this garlic confit. And we cooked this the other day on the show, believe it or not. And this is mashable. So that's like, you could slather that shit with a little bit of sea salt on a piece of bread and smoke a ton of fucking weed, and you would just be in heaven completely. If you don't like garlic, I mean, that's fine. Or you're allergic to garlic, that's fine too. I mean, not everybody loves garlic, but that's a different story. So back to bananas. I forgot to buy bananas, and I was going to show you guys a trick with the microwave and a Bible, but I forgot. I'll remind myself tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me, Mercy. I mean, let's face it, these things are great in the microwave. I don't know if you've ever tried to light a Bible on fire before in the microwave, but it's really fucking funny. It's just so fucking funny. The way it just like the fire just like goes all over the place. It's amazing. So we'll do that tomorrow. I promise you. So let's get to it. Let's put our backs into it. So I have here some shallots. Now shallots are what I technically put into a vinaigrette. They help bind it. They bring out the flavor. They're like a variety of an onion, kind of like a very, very, very pungent tasting red onion. And they're a little expensive. These are about 60 cents uh, each, and they're about $2 a pound. So to cut shallots, you want to cut both ends off. Easiest way to peel. Take your knife and peel off that outer wrap. Now with the shallot, I'm just going to cut it in half. Oh, you know what? I'll just do it on stovetop. So we're going to want to cook our almonds. And how I like to do this, a little bit of garlic oil. It's not just a concentrated onion. It's a very, very expensive alum, which is in the onion family. I'm just going to get my pan going. Put my almonds are in there. I'm just going to give them a little bit of color. Yes, like leeks. Uh, what's very similar to leeks, it happens to be ramps. So they're like baby leeks, technically. So we can come back over here. So we're just looking for some color on here. You don't want to go too crazy because what will happen is you'll burn your almonds. You burn your almonds, it's going to make everything suck. It's just going to taste terrible. And nobody likes that stuff. Nobody likes it at all. So I'm just giving it a little bit of color. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this. And another way to cook almonds is take it off the heat. That's how long you need to cook these things. It's going to like cook itself. It's going to overcook if you keep it in the pan too, because now you have hot oil that's heating up these nuts, and they will just burn really quickly. And we're just getting some color on these. That's all we're doing. I would recommend, if you guys have not made a vinaigrette before, to make this ahead of time, because what that's going to do is it's going to cool it down, and you will not be at risk for breaking your sauce. This is also a really good idea if you want to make a nice Valentine's Day dinner for yourself during quarantine, which is something that Jack and I do all the time. Those are cooked. Probably need a little bit of salt. I'm just going to cool those down for just a minute. Now, back to our vinaigrette. This fucker won't get on. One sec, guys. I must have gotten the wrong top. Mary, this is all your fault. Don't worry, tomorrow I'll have plenty of bananas. I promise you. It's not your fault, it's my fault. So we're going to put our shallots in there. Actually, I'm only going to go with about one shallot, half of a shallot. You forgot to tell me to get the bananas, Mary. Tomorrow, you got to remind me. Guys, make sure you remind me tomorrow to buy bananas. It's very important. Damn straight you will. We're going to have a Bible banana festival in here. It's going to be amazing. So I put about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard in there, which will help bind it together. God damn it. Yes, tweet it all at me. I'm going to take about, I go pretty heavy on the garlic, so about 10 cloves of garlic in there, just for this small amount. Listen, there's going to be bananas, there's a microwave, and there's Bibles. I have 4 more of these Bibles. Don't worry, things are going to get ugly. Sherry vinaigrette. Now, sherry is one of my favorite things to cook with. It is definitely, to me, one of the things that I consider like alchemical when it comes to making things like any kind of cuisine. I put the stuff in everything. One of my favorite things to do is take mushrooms and hit it with a dash of sherry vinegar, a little bit of oil, garlic, and just toast it in the oven. You want me to put the Bible in the blender now? It's going to ruin the food. I mean, what if Jack and I have to eat this, even though he can't eat this? Also, where did Jack go? Bananas Foster is always flambéed. It is. So I put about half a cup of sherry vinegar in there. And now that I've got everything that I need, I'm going to take some scallion tops, just a little bit. And I'm going to put those right in there. Somebody trying to say mushrooms? Is that Father Flanagan? So I'm going to turn this on. And I made a paste as my base for this. Next, I add my almonds to my dressing. So I'm just going to add my almonds. Pretend that these have been completely cooled down and they are not burning my hand. You know, when I set these Bibles on fire, they're supposed to protect me from things like that. So you know what? That's another reason why God doesn't exist. Because it doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. So you keep wanting to check and make sure that you have like paste consistency. One of the things that you can do if it's not turning around, now I don't recommend you doing this, but take your spoon and just go in there as it's blending, and that will help it. You got to be very careful when you do something like that. You got to make sure your hands aren't greasy or else you're going to drop your spoon all the way in. Usually when it gets, you have like that much, it's the blade is going to start burning. So you want to be able to turn it on, take the lid off, just give it a little bit of help. Well, you definitely want to make sure you're able to taste the whatever the spoon or the spatula or whatever you're using is just off centered, because you don't, if it gets sucked up into the blade, you don't want your whole hand to go in. So we'll just turn that back on for a second. And we're going to add a little bit of lemon. And I don't know if you guys caught me last time. Cut the lemons in half, take the core out. Check it out. So you can see how it's got that little funnel, like the funnel of love. That's what you want. If you do not have a funnel, your blade is going to burn out. And if your blade burns out, what's going to happen is you're going to have to buy a new fucking blender. Because it's just one of those things. It's going to cost more to have it fixed. Unless it's sentimental and you want to keep it. Like you make margaritas in it during college in your heyday. So. This is extra virgin olive oil. Well, extra virgin olive oil happens to be, you have olive oil, which is good for sauteing and grilling, and you have extra virgin olive oil, and you have extra virgin olive oil. So this is really good for salads. You would not really want to cook with this. It's good for finishing things in salads. So let's just switch our little Bible fire candle. Teach you how to finish the sauce. Make sure the blade is going. Make sure you have a funnel in there. Make sure that your olive oil is open and the cap is off completely. Oh, and there we go. It's starting to do this thing. You're going to help it. Yep. Got to get the blade going. There we go. Got to be careful with those things. I like to put maybe just a little bit of water in there. And that's it. That's your vinaigrette. It's pasty. It's delicious. It's like a chicken with a sore throat. Just gonna hit it with a little bit of salt. So fucking good. It's one of my favorite vinaigrettes. So we're going to cut our beets next. You guys see anything? Can you see that? Okay. All right, so we're going to cut our beets. I like to keep my beets in the same shape that I cook them in, and I quarter them. This is going to be it's primarily just the beets and the ricotta. We're not going to need that much for the salad, but I'm going to make enough to share for 4 people or 3 people because that's what I do. I have my beets cut. The next thing we do is we have some ricotta. So I'm going to put this over here. Put my ricotta right in the bowl. So I don't know if you guys remember, we made a traditional salsa verde yesterday. This is an Italian style. So I'm going to put a little bit of that right into my ricotta, which I'm going to whip. And it already has a little bit of oil, so I'm going to add just a little bit more. So these are the things I like to add is olive oil, some kind of like base with like herbs, and definitely marsh pepper. Just take it and whip it together. And once you get that vibe, you'll have this delicious whipped ricotta. Always season with salt, because when you're adding acid, the acid will offset itself with the salt. Summer, you want me to put a cheese in the Bible and then grill it on the stovetop with a banana on it? Is that what you want me to do tomorrow? So now that I have that all whipped up, we could start making our salad. I have here some arugula, which is grown somewhere in Brooklyn, New York. I know because that's where it says on the packaging. I'm going to take my arugula and put it right in the bowl. Followed by my beets. And just like any salad, I like to season it. Now, arugula is one of those things that doesn't. It's a peppery kind of herb, so you can use this, and you don't need to put any pepper in it. Always taste it. Make sure that that flavor, that peppery flavor, isn't too strong. Sounds like an old car horn you can stick a banana into. I'm going to take some of my vinaigrette, just a little bit. So when you're dressing a salad, you don't want to put too much in. Can't see anything here. I would suggest getting some gloves and putting them on. Just like you're getting ready to peel that banana. So when you make a salad, you don't want to overdress it, and you definitely do not want to overdress it or it'll become soggy. So take your hands and just sort of go around the sides. And notice how I didn't add too much. And when you make salads, always taste your salad. See if it needs more salt. Definitely does. Now, one of the things to know is you have vinaigrette in with that, like something like greens, it's going to break it down. It's going to cook it. And the same thing with the salt. So you don't want to squeeze it together with your hands or use tongs. You just want to lightly go and just toss it with your fingers. And that's how you make a salad. Before we plate this dish, we'll light a little Bible fire. And I will definitely remember tomorrow to get bananas. Because tomorrow we're doing a Wednesday feast. So I have my plate. I have my ricotta. As you can see, it's herby. You can use this as a dip. In fact, one of the things that I like to do, and I'll grab them for you. I get these from this pita bread from the butchery, which happens to be in Brookline, Massachusetts. And this is traditional Israeli pita. It's actually imported. So if you can find this kind of pita, I would highly suggest it if you're going to use your ricotta as a dip. Because French baguettes are great, but they're also very hard on your teeth, so they can hurt you. So this stuff is like it's like a bread. It's definitely more of a bread, but it crusts on the outside and it's puffy on the inside. And I'll definitely get you the name of this. So that's something to use when you go have like a late night snack and you want to dip your stuff. Now, bananas and baguettes. We won't go there right now, but maybe we'll go there tomorrow when we make our Valentine's Day feast. So I'm just going to take my ricotta and put it on the bottom. I'm going to give almost all of this because I'm generous. I'm a very generous person. and I'm going to go almost all the way to the edges. And as you can see, I'm pushing away just so I have like this little divot right in here. Keep pushing away. Again, I should be wearing gloves, but I'm not. And I'm just going to plate my salad right in the middle. You have your whipped ricotta, your arugula, your almond dressing. And you know what we can also do? Garnish it with a little bit of almonds. And there it is. Take your pita, dip it in, eat it like that. And I'll put this up on my Twitter, and hopefully at some point in the near future, it will make the TST newsletter. But before we go, do you guys have any questions? Thanks, Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. Well, there's going to be on romantic Satanism next. She is an amazing person. She's one of my favorite artists out there. I would go into her website and buy some things. One of everything. Oh, wait. Before we leave, Thomas will also be appearing tonight. He'll be on at 10. Let's get these pages open and say fuck you to Mitch McConnell. Hail Satan, guys. I love you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.